Welcome back to Thompson to Clark. Brad and I are here. We took last week off for the All-Star break. Before we even talk about the Giants, what did you think of the All-Star game? I only watched like the first 4 innings, and then I bailed out because the National League had the lead. And then I saw Randy Rodriguez gave up a jack. I was like, oh, Giants pitchers historically in All-Star games are really bad. And then I saw, I was like, wait, there was some sort of home run hitting contest to end the game. This is crazy. And so that was my experience.
So I was on vacation in Tahoe, and that was a planned evening. Didn't even think about it, but we had planned to go to one of our favorite places in North Tahoe. If any of the listeners have been there, you know what I'm talking about. Whitecaps Pizza, which is right on the lake. Super awesome place. Always has a crazy good beer selection. Really good pizza. They also have and this is not a commercial for them. I just like this pizza joint. But they also have a sister pizza place in Heavenly Village in South Tahoe called Base Camp Pizza. So anyways, this was a planned trip that night to go there. So we were there, and I forgot the game was on. I knew it was coming up. And so we walked in the pizza place, and I'm like, oh, I can kind of see it. And, I'm hearing like little updates, and then, your son JJ in our chat was like, our guys always have to ruin it. And Randy Rodriguez came in and gave up some runs. So then we get back home. Granted, I had a couple of strong beers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get home and I turn it on. I go, I'll just catch the very end of it, see what's going on. Sure enough, all of a sudden they're in this home run, and it just started this home run derby swing off thing to decide the game. And I thought, I think I heard something about this, but I honestly didn't remember, because what are the chances it's going to happen in an all-star game? Maybe they implemented it a couple of years ago and just have never used it.
I thought it was when they redid the collective bargaining is when it came.
Okay, that's what it was. I thought it was fun, for an all-star game. But of course, as I'm watching it and I'm realizing how fun it is, it starts sneaking into my head that, oh my God, Rob Manfred is seeing how fun this is.
Yeah.
And in a year or two, he's going to try to implement it in regular season games. So that scared me a little bit. Is it going to be like, we're only going to do it in the first half when nobody's fresh, or we're only going to do it in the second half when everybody's tired? So I don't know, that worries me a little bit, but that part was super fun. You got Kyle Schwarber in there. And again, I don't know how they picked the players, because those weren't your top home run hitting guys, right? There was no Aaron Judge. There was no, so I'm assuming it's only guys who are in the game.
I think so.
At the end can be chosen to be there and do the swing off. Which, again, it's an all-star game. Bring the guys back. I want to see Aaron Judge hit. I don't want to see, the scrub dude from Milwaukee or whoever, the I don't know, or Florida. They had some dude sorry, he's an all-star. He's not a scrub dude. But I didn't want to see, I didn't want to see that dude. I wanted to see Aaron Judge is what I wanted to see. So,
Yeah, anyways, Judge already took his jock off. He was like, he was like probably in tennis shoes. Yeah,
he was wearing a medium T-shirt and showing off the guns. But yeah, I mean those I want to see those guys come back in and hit the home run. So I thought that part was weird, but if they could fix that going forward, I think it'd be pretty awesome.
So when I was a kid, this was like my first understanding of this the idea of a home run derby could end a series or a game. So I would have been, gosh, maybe I'm like 8 years old, maybe not even 8 years old yet. I'm probably 7, and we're at Candlestick because of the Bay Bridge series. And I think something happened. I don't remember if they played one at the Coliseum and one at Candlestick, and both teams won. So it was like a swing off to win the thing. I don't exactly remember the particulars.
So it's the exhibition Bay Bridge series,
right?
Preseason thing,
right? Okay. The end of spring training, and so we're at the game, and all of a sudden, after the game is over, they roll out the home run hitters to do a home run hitting contest to see who wins the series. And so in my mind, I was like, "Oh, they just must do this all the time." Like I guess I didn't realize that they were trying to break a tie. I just thought after every game, you just do a home run hitting contest and this is part of baseball.
This is
And so
baseball, man.
I realized soon thereafter that that was like a one-time thing. But I
Yeah,
always thought it was cool. I always thought it was like a really cool thing to do because it is an easy thing to root for.
yeah.
Now, I think the A's may have had Dave Kingman back then. The Giants had like Hackman Leonard and Chili Davis and guys like that. But I just thought it was such a cool idea. So when they did the home run derby or the swing off in the All-Star game, that's where my brain went to, which was I had so much fun as a little kid watching that like be a part of something. So I imagine if you had a child who was still up and watching the game on the East Coast at that point, like having that happen at the end probably was really cool. Now, you said Manfred saw this. Would you enjoy this more than the Ghost Runner?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't really look at it in that perspective. I think the only problem I'm gonna see with that is you got to have a team that's built. So teams with big power guys who play big power baseball are going to win most of those over teams like the Giants who play small ball, right? I mean, yeah, granted, you've got Elliot Ramos. Do you want Devers with a herniated disc out there taking gigantic hacks to try to win ball games right now? No, but you've got Chapman and Ramos. And and again, we don't see much batting practice anymore,
Yeah.
so it's hard to say who's the one, who are the batting practice heroes for the Giants.
Right.
You got to put it's not going to be the guys who like lead the team in home runs all the time. It's going to be the guys who in batting practice do hit for light tower power. So it's going to be it would be tough in that situation. Do you then sign a free agent who's just really good in batting practice with his home runs, with his power, so that when the time comes and you need that guy, he's in the lineup? I don't know. I think I just want to see. I'd rather see the Ghost Runner, to answer your question, just because it's more like baseball.
Yeah, I think so
Um,
too. The reason, I mean, it's a fun idea, but
mhm,
and the reason why you would do it is, that young audience, because they
yeah,
would sort of start rooting for games to end in a tie so that you could see this
yeah,
thing. And if you did do something like this, you would basically roster somebody who is like a really good at hitting home runs and batting practice. Like,
but would he have to be in the game though? That's the thing. Like, you have to strategically sneak him in, and you could have both. You can have your cake and eat it too. You can have the Manfred runner for the 10th and 11th. And then when
mhm.
you get to the 12th, if it's still a tie ball game, now you go to the swing off. So, I mean,
I
you could do
wonder how
something
many
like that
games
too.
actually go into the 12th inning these days.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not 100% sure on that. You don't see that very often. Usually it's decided in the 10th and 11th. But that's a good thing, because then maybe if you do the 12th or the 13th, then you only see the swing off, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 times in a season, and that's pretty much it.
I
Now,
like I like our idea best, which
yeah,
going back a few years on this show, which was play the 10th straight, play the 11th straight. When it gets to the 12th, maybe start a guy on first, then the 13th, start a guy on second, and then
yeah,
you can do whatever you want after that. But I still would like to see them at least play the 10th inning clean, like
yeah,
normal baseball, and because then you're like, well, at least we get a chance to really win this thing because all bets are off with the runner on second base. It just
right.
becomes like it doesn't even feel like the right team necessarily is winning every game when you do that, because the Giants played the Dodgers right before the first half. And once we went into extra innings with the Dodgers and we didn't score any runs in the first 9 innings, I was pretty convinced we were just going to lose that game just because
Yeah.
they just have so many better options for hitters with runners in scoring position. It's just like not even. It's not the same. They're not those two teams are not the same when you line up 1 through 9 in the order. And so I was
Right.
like, okay, who am I going to bet on? Like I imagine, I don't bet and you don't bet, so I don't even really understand the betting lines for baseball. But I imagine once they went into the 10th inning, the Dodgers' odds probably skyrocketed to win the game.
Yeah, and it's probably skewed towards the home team just a little bit. But when you do have a team like the Dodgers, it's hard to unskew that if you're the home, if you're the home team, because the road team being the Dodgers, like you said, they can send guys up there. They're more likely to get a base hit. They're more likely to drive one in the gap, and they're more likely to hit a home run than most teams in the majors in those situations, especially when you're the Giants and you're just struggling to move a runner from first to second. I mean, that's what the Giants are having a hard time with right now. So um, when you get to extras, the Giants could put a runner at third, and I'm not sure they would get him home in 2 innings. That's how bad this offense is when they're in tight situations lately. So yeah, that was a tough one. And being on vacation, and I was getting ready for vacation during that Dodgers series, and then traveled on Sunday during the game. And it was tough to even just listen to on the radio and try to figure out what the heck is going on with this team against the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's so nice little segue because I did a show yesterday with my buddy Draven, our kind of seasonal, once every now and again podcast, Giants versus Dodgers, and we kicked off the show. It's up on our YouTube page. It is in the audio feed, so you can check it out if you haven't. And we began the show basically saying both teams are struggling. They both got swept to start the second half. But the Dodgers just have way more room for error than the Giants do. And that's the difference in the teams. Like he is living the Michael Conforto experience that we lived last year. And I was saying like, yeah, like Michael Conforto can pull down his pants and like take a dump right in left field. But you guys will figure out a way to put someone else out there or to finagle some way to get some production, and the Giants just don't have that. Like if Elio Ramos, like I'm not putting this on him, but if he was to get hurt, what would the Giants do with left field? It'd be probably Matos, and yeah, I don't know if anyone's seen Matos' batting average. He did have the big hit in that game against the Dodgers off of, I believe it was off of Tanner Scott. But like they just don't have. They don't have anybody who you could really bring up. I mean, look at the, look at the scenario. What happened when Chapman went down? Like you have guys, but they're kind of like all utility players rather than guys who are kind of ready to step in and take over. They're just waiting for an opportunity. That's what they were hoping Luciano was going to be. And JJ's been texting me about. They need to give Luciano a chance because he's not only hitting bombs in Reno now, he's hitting them all over the place. And I'm like, you can't get any worse, from a perspective of power because they just don't have any. And maybe, maybe he's learned some lessons or he's, got a little bit of humbleness or whatever. And just, or it's just, he's had the reps and, he didn't have those reps as he was younger and he was kind of getting hurt here and there. So I'm fine with, if they wanted to give him a shot at some ABs or, maybe make him a little bit more valuable to other teams if you're looking to trade him. But basically the Giants have such little room for error, especially offensively, that you kind of wonder what could they even do in that's kind of the topic of this show's, whether or not the Giants should be all in. But Grant Brisbee wrote 2 articles back-to-back days about, should if the Giants became buyers, here are people out there, and if they were sellers, then this is what they would do. So, You were going to say something before I cut you off.
No, that's okay. I was just looking at Luciano's numbers because I was kind of curious too. I was thinking, this team needs an injection. They need something. But looking at Luciano, the thing too is in April he hit, and again, batting average is not everything, but in April he hit 245. In May he hit 195. In June he hit 224, and in July he's hitting 273. So it's only really like 3/4 of a month where he's really kind of started to turn it on. And we've seen that before. We've seen flashes from him in AAA, and then you get excited, and then you bring him up, and then he craps the bed, and then you send him back down. And you go, what do we do with this guy? At some point, they're going to have to showcase him. I mean, because he's probably, if they want to use him as trade bait, they're going to have to showcase him. But yeah, there's not. I mean, when you're looking up and down this lineup, and then you're looking in AAA, you're going, well, there's no answers there. The lineup has so much potential when those players that are in the Giants lineup are playing to their potential and they're playing to be their best selves. This is a high powered offense, and people are going to laugh, but it's just nobody is clicking together. Everybody is, I mean, if there's a team with more ground into double plays in their bats than the Giants, I'd love to see it, because I don't think it exists. I think the Giants lead the league in that. I haven't looked it up, but it feels like it. But
you know what I've been doing for stats, and
Yeah.
I actually wonder if this hurts Baseball Reference a little bit, but I've been using chatbots to to find this information. So I wonder if I can find it. So, who leads Major League Baseball, or which team leads Major League Baseball in grounding into double plays?
Yeah, because otherwise it would show you individual players probably. I'm going to start goofing around. I finally got back into the iPad world I was telling you. So I bought one of the A16 iPads, the iPad 11. And I'm going to install ChatGPT because it does not have the capability to do Apple Intelligence, which is not very intelligent right now, but it's getting there. But I'm going to install ChatGPT on it and just kind of mess around with that as well.
So I have Google Gemini, and I do have a couple of different pro accounts. So this is what Gemini says. As of July 21st, 2025, the Oakland Athletics lead Major League Baseball in grounding into double plays with 86. Okay. Then it goes Mets, Astros, Pirates, Blue Jays, Rockies, Cards, Giants, Orioles, D-backs. No. Those are the top 10. And the Giants...
That's lying. We're number one.
Giants, Orioles, and Diamondbacks are all tied with 68 for 8th most. So... I don't know. We could probably finagle that query, and with runners in scoring position or late in games, or there's some sort of score about the clutch or whatever. Because it does feel like they play a lot of tight games, and when you play a lot of tight games, again, the room for error is so little.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kruko. Start of the second half, he goes something to the effect of, they haven't had any of their big hitters all hot at the same time. He thinks it's coming. And I took that to think, Mike Kruko has a great baseball instinct. So maybe he's seeing some stuff with the players or in the clubhouse or the coaches or Buster, or there's something there. Now, they did score, 6 games in that last game against the Blue Jays, or 6 runs, sorry, in that last game. I haven't seen it. I don't know if there's anything there that you've seen in these first 3 games out of the break. We are recording while the Giants are playing the Atlanta Braves, and they are currently losing. I'm like, I love the intuition. I love the hope. Some of Kruko is he's like a great. He's a Giant through and through. So there's going to be a little bit of like hope.
He's a rah guy for sure.
I just don't see it. And I think it has to start with Devers because I feel like it has to start with your best player.
Yeah.
And if he is our best hitter, like he is, he's got the best numbers and the sort of like over the last several years, both from a power perspective and an average perspective. But I think it's got to come there. And I kind of worry about that a little bit because he's got a little bit of a back thing that they've mentioned. They didn't really say that before he got traded, but that has come up. And secondly, there is a period of transition for these guys. Some of them, it's not that big of a deal, and others, it is kind of a big deal. It could be the park. It could be not seeing, though the schedules are about as balanced as they can be. Maybe not seeing some of these National League arms that he's seen. But they have played a lot of interleague games since he's come. Like when we were there, it was Cleveland and then Boston, and now it's Toronto. So he has seen those arms before. But I feel like if the Giants get on a run in swinging the bat, it's usually circled around your best guy. And I haven't seen it from him yet. I see, he strikes out a lot, and that has been that has been more lately in his career than earlier in his career. So it seems like there's a little bit more of swinging for the big, the jack. But I don't know. Do you sense any of this happening? Are you seeing setting the table and just needing the big hits? Like, what is your feeling about that?
Yeah, I mean, so this team was super exciting, and we wanted that. We kept like, this team needs to be exciting and fun. And they were for like 30, 35 games. And then, and then after that, it became get runners on. This team is fantastic. One of the top teams in the league when it comes to walk percentage. They get on base. First game of the Toronto series, they get 11 hits, but they're not scoring runs. They get 11 hits in that game and don't score a run. The key is this team was super clutch in the first 30, 35 games of the season. If they needed a hit, they would get a hit. After that, for 60 plus games, it's just kind of been, or around 60 games, because I think we're close to the 90 game mark. This team has just not been clutch. The big hit has not come. That's not something you teach. That's not something, I mean, that's internal for each player. Are you a clutch guy? Do you nut up? I mean, when the time comes, are you there? Are you ready to answer the call? And, like you said, the big hitters, Devers needs to be that guy. Chapman needs to be that guy. Ramos needs to be that guy. Ramos is cooled off. Save your bravado and your big hits for when the bases are loaded, not for when there's nobody on and you hit a solo home run. I mean, the other day, Willie Adames on Sunday, what it was, I'm floating out on Lake Tahoe on my paddleboard and I'm cruising around. He hits 2 bombs. And the Giants don't do anything else, and they get smoked in that game. They end up eventually losing 8-6. I mean, they made a game out of it, kind of. But it's so frustrating because for so long we said if the Giants could just get back to getting the big hit, but I mean the clock is ticking, time is moving along here, and I think the times for the big hits are kind of running out at this point.
So I was doing a little bit of reading, as I know you were as well. Alex Pavlovic has a new book, which we'll put it in the show notes. It is called, hold on, let me pull it up. It is called The Franchise, a San Francisco Giants a curated history of the orange and black. And it came out about a week and a half ago. And I'm, I don't know, 40% into it or whatever. And it's really, really good. And what it did is it kind of reminded me about it does a good job of reminding you about the World Series teams. But it also reminded me, and I think maybe we take this for granted sometimes, of how 2010, it just didn't come out of nowhere. 2009 was a really good season for them. I think they won like 88 games or something like that.
Yeah. We saw
And
the
then
flashes and everything. Yeah.
and then you go back to when we were younger. 1987 they won the NL West, but 1986 there was a sense that something was happening. This young team, this young club, and they down the stretch Houston pulls away. Remember the Mike Scott no hitter and them clinching. And so my thought was, well, reading his book, which I'm not done with it by any means, but it just reminded me of those teams. I kind of wonder if this is the walk before run season. Now, I think what we had hoped is that last year or the year before or whatever were those, but they faltered, as we talked about in the last episode that we did, I think, is when I went through the first half and second half, or first 81 games and second 81 games. With the exception of 2021, they just could not put together two halves. And this year, I was worried about that because they had the great start, but they had been average for the last 2 months. For May and June, they were an average baseball team. And so now, are we expecting in July and August and September for them to go back to being really good, or do you expect them to be average? So far in July, they've been bad, I think. Not even average. They've been worse than average. So what is that, what is that expectation? And if you go with that theory that this is our 2009, I don't know if I want them to sell, to bring in any offensive players, because what are you selling? Well, you're going to sell the pitching. And how did they win in 2010 and 2012 and 2014? It was the pitching. And so if you're building, the way to win ball games in Buster Ball, it begins and ends with starting pitching. Well, you gave away one guy to get the bat that you thought you needed, and that is probably not going to be enough. But I don't know if you want to give away any of these younger arms. Like, I almost wonder, a Birdsong start today. I'm almost wondering, like, man, maybe they shut him down for a few starts.
Yeah. I mean, they technically did. He hasn't pitched in 2 weeks.
Right.
But I mean, and if the draft is any indication, Buster Posey's philosophy, head of baseball operations, top down to bottom. If the draft is any indication, the Giants are looking at pitching. Obviously, they want to draft pitching, as every team does. But they're also drafting high contact, high average guys who put the ball in play, but not necessarily just put the ball in play, but hit line drives. And again, going back to ground into double play. If you're hitting line drives, you're not grounding into double plays. You're actually putting the ball into play that's going to find some gaps, find some holes in the field. So that being said, this is Buster's first season as head of baseball operations. We're giving him leeway because he's Buster Posey. He's taken a roster and a minor league system that's not necessarily his. He was playing when it was being built. When this team was being built, he was playing, and when the minor league system was being built, he was still playing. So after one season, he's his marks are Adames and Devers. And then he's going to build around that with what he has in the minor league system. Again, do you buy? Are you a buyer at the trade deadline? Because in terms of buying some guys with years on them that Buster believes in and thinks this pitcher or this second baseman or this right fielder can help us for the next 3 or 4 years, while clearing out some of the minor league guys like Matos and Luciano that were not his picks, and then moving these draft picks that he just made, they move up the system a little bit quicker, possibly, and another draft or 2 or 3, and now you've got Buster Ball everywhere. So baseball is a slow grind. We know, yes, 162 games.
And this is why that 81 games analysis that I did last show, it's because baseball is a grind. What
Mhm.
teams can put together two really good halves? Oh, the ones that win the World Series, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's what is hard, is to continually be on the winning side. 2021 now seems way more like, I mean, it wasn't a lucky season. They were playing really good baseball, but
Yeah, yeah.
you had the tail end of the tail end of the World Series teams, because you forget Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, Buster Posey all had great seasons, and Belt gets hurt right at the end, and he breaks his thumb, and he's
Yeah.
not even able to play. And so there's still value in those guys, and they had that crazy, insane season. But it's probably an outlier based on what we've seen since 2016. That is like the one outlier season. You've had two regime changes since then. Now we're into Buster Ball. I just don't know. I mean, I think there's something to him being so competitive, but John Smoltz had a comment basically saying like he's trying to balance the best of both worlds in building his, what you're calling Buster Ball, and at the same time trying to make a go of it, because you know that there are 3 wild card slots to go after. And I am of the opinion, and I had to be reminded by Pavlovic's book, that I don't think we sell. We already sold off last year's first round draft pick in Tibbs, and you gave away your best left-handed arm. So you got Devers. Devers going to be around for a long time. And what is left to give? Like what do teams want? Well, they probably want Wizen Hunt. They want the kid who's in the orange and the black league. I forget his name. I mean, he'd be on anybody's must-have list. If you could trade Matos and Luciano, I think they would, but I think those guys, their value is so low right now. Mason Black value is probably really low as well. So I almost wonder if it's just, let's roll with what we got and see, and give these guys, Casey Schmidt, and it's not like Jung Hoo has played many reps at this level. He's been through crazy slumps. Ramos is still young. You're probably going to have to get a new right fielder next year, so you're playing out Yastrzemski, or maybe you trade Yastrzemski. Maybe Yastrzemski's of some value to a team that needs a left-handed bat and a really good outfielder, and you could get a younger player back for him. So that is more along the lines of what I think they should do right now, because I think chasing. You remember that Adele song? I think it was her
Chasing.
first hit,
Yeah.
"Chasing Pavement," right?
Yeah,
What a great metaphor
yeah.
for just like, just doing something for the sake of doing something that's not going to
Yeah.
work. And I kind of feel like the Dodgers are so far out there. The Padres are good, and it's not like they can't catch the Dodgers. I think we expect the Dodgers to kind of catch fire. The Padres are good. There's some other teams in the National League who are really establishing themselves right now, like the Brewers. And I just wonder if chasing that third wild card this year is a little short-sighted, and what they should do instead is build this. This is the 2009 team. This is the 1986 team. This is Buster Stamp, and he is grabbing the players that he believes can help this team in the future. And that's where I sit. Now,
Yeah.
you and I both want to see them win. Is that something that you can be okay with? I know JJ's going to be like, we need to go trade for somebody. That's the way he thinks. But I don't know. I just feel like you would be throwing away younger players for an opportunity that may not be that realistic this year.
Yeah. Now before Buster, and I know with ownership, this team was all about there's no rebuild. We're just going to keep fighting. We're going to be competitive in September and hopefully October. You've seen this team has not done in the past a whole lot of selling off to to possibly be a 90-loss team next year. I mean, and again, that's not what this team is, but I'm just using that as an example. The last thing this ownership group wants to do is have Oracle Park half full. They've gotten back to it being pretty darn full again this season, and they're happy about that. They like that. That brings in money at the gate and money at the concession stands, and this is what they want, merchandise. So I think this team is going to continue to this ownership group is going to continue to make the moves to try to be competitive, at least on the surface. At the same time, you need to really, really build that farm system. So getting rid of any farm players right now that are of any value to this organization for the future of this organization would be a mistake, I think. Unless you are one player away from 90 wins, and we talked about this team's not there. I mean, we're watching this team. The last couple of weeks, this team is, I don't think, a player away from 90 wins. Maybe 2 players, maybe 3 players. A second baseman, another solid outfielder, and a starting pitcher at least. And then you're talking, left-handed relievers. So now you're looking at 4 players. But looking at the Dodgers and looking at the other teams in the past and what they've done is they've been able to go out and get whoever the hell they want because they have a farm system that makes you drool. I mean, it makes Baseball America drool. It makes Keith Law drool, which in turn then makes us drool because you look at that, in the Seattle Mariners, and in the top 100 prospects, they've got like 20 or something like that, 18, 20. And you go, my God, that's like, every other player you look and in the top 50, they've got a player.
Yeah.
So if you're a team like the Mariners and you're fighting, you can get rid of guys and be like, you know what, but we have another one. But if you look at the Giants, they got one player in the top 100, and that's Bryce Eldridge. So,
and maybe part of that strategy is like, look, let's bring the kid up in August and get him 100 ABs at the big league level to set up next year. They drafted the shortstop who they're going to move to second base, Gavin Kylan. Is that how you pronounce the last name?
I believe so. Yeah.
And like you said, moving him through the system could be a Joe Panic like move in 2014 where he becomes someone who's very valuable. So not that every previous Giants scenario is the model for what's going to happen. I just wonder if our expectation, because there's been such a drought these last 3 and now 3.5 years, of where we just have such high expectation for the team, and they've just been an average baseball team. That's what they've been. I would love to see. I would love to have Buster's ear right now. Like he's never gonna. If a deal falls on his lap and he thinks it's worth it, he's not gonna, withhold. He's gonna go for it because that's what you do. But I just don't want him to chase it. I don't want him to give away something good for the possibility of a 1-year thing to push the Giants into 86 wins. Because right now, what are they? Yeah. They're an 81 win team probably right now.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And
I'd be happy with 81 wins at this point.
Yeah,
that's sad to say.
They are on quite a losing streak. And like I said, every month it seems like the losses are starting to overshadow the wins. But without today's game, because the game is not over yet, they are currently 4 games over 500. So they could die in the second half and be under 81, or they could just play good baseball and straddle that 81 to 85 win total, which I think is fine. I just don't think that there's a way that these guys are a 90-win ball club. I just watching him for now 90 some odd games, or is that what it is? No, 100 even, 100 even.
Yeah. But the thing too is add in the fact that this team was, even when they were struggling, and then they would show flashes and win a series against a big team. Their run differential was still sticking around like plus 30, plus 35. Now it's plus 8.
Yeah, that's
I
not
mean,
good.
so things have really fallen off the cliff. They're getting smoked. They're losing big. Pitching has kind of disappeared. You can count on Webb. You can kind of still count on Ray. He's had some tough outings. Roop is still young. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop there. The other shoe has dropped on Hayden Birdsong.
And Verlander's given them nothing. He's given them
Absolutely
negative,
nothing. Right.
which has been sad to see. Did you see what the umpire did to him the other day?
You know what? I heard about it, and I tried to click on the clip to watch it, and I missed it. I didn't see it. It wouldn't load. So
I think I didn't listen to the audio, but it looked like early in the game there was a pitch that was wide on the Giants that got called a strike, and I'm assuming Verlander chirped at the umpire, and the umpire screamed back something like, "Get out of the third inning before you yell at me," or something like that. What a dick!
Was this the day after he pitched?
It may have been, but
because I think it was
Melvin
Sunday,
ran out of
so,
there.
yeah.
Melvin ran out of there and started to yell at the board.
That's personal. Now you're getting personal. That's the type of stuff. You get personal with an umpire, and you're like, "Hey, your white picket fence is like beige.
Yeah.
You need to paint it." Then you're getting personal, and it becomes a problem. So can't say that to a player, man.
So, by the way, we were talking about Pavlovic's book. You're a little bit further ahead than I am. What do you think so far?
I'm at 53%, and if you're a Kindle owner, you go by percentages.
Yes,
I don't go by page number.
I don't even know what page I'm on.
Yeah, I have no idea what page I'm on. I'm at 53%, which is a lot for me. I just got the book like the day it came out. Started reading it the next day, and I hit like 53%. When I'm on vacation, especially in Tahoe, I do a lot of reading because you're just sitting at the lake and you're chilling, and you're like, I'm just gonna read. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I'm enthralled. And the thing too is you and we're old dudes who are Giants fans forever and read everything. So we've been like, oh, we know like so much about the Giants, but then when you read this, the nuggets that the beat reporters and the inside guys like Pavlovic get are super fun. And he did a lot of work on this book. And then I was listening to him today on his podcast, and he said that he had so much extra stuff that was kind of on the cutting room floor, and people are like, oh, release that stuff. And he's like, no, I don't know. It's getting such good reviews. I might have to put out a second book. And I'm like, oh, please do. Cause I mean, he puts out a second book and I'm in. The writing style is great. It's, pretty in depth in some of the stuff. The little segment, wait till you get to Will Clark. That little segment is pretty fun. Kruko's got some good quotes about Will Clark. So, I'm really, really enjoying it. Highly recommend to anybody. I guess there's a couple of bookstores, small bookstores in San Francisco. One of them's at the Ferry Building, where he's got a bunch of signed copies that are sitting in the bookstore that he went in and signed. So you can get those. Yeah.
I say any Giants fan should get it. It is a heavy, when he was covering the team. So that there is a lot of, 2010 and 2012 and 2014, but he does go back to Willie Mays, and he talks about why Willie Mays was important. He goes back to McCovey, why McCovey was important. Bonds, why Bonds was important. He kind of shies away from the steroid stuff on Bonds, at least in the one Bonds chapter that I have read, which probably won't make a lot of people who are non-Giants fans happy, but hey, he's writing it for Giants fans. There's a Bochy chapter, and Brandon Belt and Brandon Crawford, and he does have like specific chapters on players, and he tells the story about the players, which I liked. I liked the way that he did it because it's just different. Like you could always write it oh, on from 2008 all the way through or whatever, and then go back. But he wrote it specifically like based on players. Then he tells the stories within there. So must have for
Oh yeah,
Giants fans. I just like you said, I'm a Kindle guy, so it's like $15 or whatever, and you have it
yeah.
immediately, and you can just get reading. Okay, we are gonna end, but I do have an old guy alley for you.
Oh, here we go.
I posted on Instagram yesterday
Oh, here. Oh,
just a
yes.
photograph of two paddles. They were not ping pong paddles. They were pickleball paddles. And my ex-wife, JJ, actually is plays a lot of pickleball too. She has been on us about playing. She even bought us those paddles for Christmas. So she's like, "You guys got to play. We play. Like, it's fun. It's a thing." And so Crystal played tennis in high school, so she's totally into it. But Crystal's not someone who can just go and grab a paddle and jump on a pickleball court and start playing. She needs to know the rules. She needs to know the etiquette. She needs to know how she's supposed to do this thing that she's never done before.
What's the history of the game?
And so she set us up to do a lesson, or we're doing
Nice.
some lessons. And so we went out Saturday, and I've played a little bit. I remember playing in high school. It's either high school or junior high school. And then I played with my ex-wife and JJ and Brian and their significant others a couple months ago. And it's a lot of fun. It is, if you have good hand-eye coordination, you're good to go, really. Like, you have to learn the rules, and there's some back and forth movement, but it's really a hand-eye coordination sport. So it's something that you would be good at. I don't know if your wife is necessarily into certain sports or whatever, but I think
she loves tennis. She loves tennis.
You guys would be fantastic at picking it up. So I would say, if you are looking for a couples activity to do, it would be a lot of fun. So anyways,
yeah, I've got some pickleball stuff, but when you're done, yeah.
Oh, okay. So you've played. Good.
I haven't played, but I do have some pickleball stories.
Okay, good. So we're playing, and they want to teach you the basics, and it's called dinking. Like, you're just basically pushing the wiffle ball over the net, and you're just kind of like doing little, like, you're almost like playing catch with the thing, and they're teaching you, like, you don't need to slam the hell out of this thing. Like, this is the touch part of the game. And so we're with another group of two young ladies. I'm pretty sure that they've never played before, so they were like, the guy who was instructing, he was like hanging out mostly with them. And then when he's like, "Okay, now you can volley," Crystal started pulling out her like double backhand in tennis and stuff, just lasering balls at me.
You're like, "Hey, man!"
And I was like, I was trying to set her up because she was getting into it, but the guy did have to come and tell us, like, let's try and get some rallies going. You don't have to go for the kills. Like, you guys aren't actually playing.
Yeah, we're not hitting aces here on every serve.
So, lot of fun. I think we're I don't know how much into it. Like, I don't know if we're like, Wednesday night looking for games or anything, but it was a lot of fun. And we've been looking for this kind of activity because last year we went and we took some golf lessons. And JJ's really into golf, so he was wanting me to play, and I'm like, I'd never really played. I kind of stayed away from golf, and I was playing baseball because I didn't want to screw up my swing.
Right.
And then I just never got into golf. It was never anything that I was like, I just figured at some point I was going to want to play, and it just never happened. We did our lessons. We're like, this is okay, but it's just, it didn't grab us like we thought it was going to grab us. And this did. So I have a feeling we're going to play, as long as I don't get hurt. That is always in the back of my mind, is the getting hurt part. With my knees were okay. I didn't feel too bad. And I felt good kind of moving side to side. Like, you know what it actually reminded me of? As a middle infielder, you would do these drills called pickup drills. And so basically They roll the ball to your left, and you shuffle, and you grab it, and you throw it back, and they go to your right, and you just go back and forth, back and forth. And that's the movement in pickleball. There is some up and back movement as well, but all of the footwork in pickleball reminds me of a middle infielder and defense in basketball. So all of that footwork is very familiar to me. And so it's just very comfortable. If you play a lot of sports, like this is why I think, now people are saying, oh, the whole key to being an athlete is to play a bunch of different sports. Like, just don't play baseball, like play basketball, play soccer, play all these different things, because you'll learn these different, you'll learn different things, footwork and hand-eye and all of these things. So that helps a lot in pickle, because I'm like, oh, okay, like I can figure out what he's telling me very quickly because of all these other sports I played as a kid, and it just fits right in. So pickleball, thumbs up. I know it gets a little bit of flack for being like an old people sport, but hey, man, I'm 49 years old. How much longer do I got to wait to play some pickleball?
Well, here's the thing. So the place we stay at in Tahoe, right in front of us are tennis courts. So the unit we stayed in the last 2 years, you have tennis courts in front of you. Yeah, you get a little bit of a break. You got some trees and, forests and stuff, but you can see the tennis courts. They've broken those down. So they are not so much tennis courts anymore. Now they're half tennis, half pickleball. And then they realize, oh, we can break down a tennis court into 2 pickleball courts. So during the day, that's all you hear is people playing pickleball up at Lake Tahoe. And I don't think I saw many people above our age playing. The majority of the people were our age all the way down to like 10-year-olds playing pickleball. And there were times too where a bunch of 10-year-olds would just go out there with their rackets and their pickleballs and just play for like an hour and a half. So I think the game's getting younger, and I was intrigued. But there was one guy a couple times during the week where he had main character energy and he wanted to be the star of the place that we were staying at. So if he got a good hit or whatever, he would scream, and the whole complex would hear this guy.
Jimmy Connor's out there.
I know the people out on the water would hear this guy, and I'm like, geez, I'm just trying to sit here on the deck and read my Alex Pavlovic book.
Yeah.
Calm down.
So again, like Crystal, because of the tennis background, she felt very comfortable out there. But she's also a good athlete. Like, she grew up in the East Coast, so she played lacrosse, she played softball, she played tennis. So she's very athletic, and she can pick up, sports really quickly. And so there was a moment where I could tell, like, she was really getting the hang of it, and I was like, this is Caitlin Clark mode that you're in right now. And you're like double backhand ripping this thing. No. And I was like, okay, this is going to be good for us when we play doubles against these other people, because you just need to pull the ponytail back a little bit and get in Caitlin Clark mode.
And you're thinking in your head, if we're going 1-on-1, now I'm screwed.
Oh, well, she could definitely run me around the pickleball court. But thankfully, I think it's mostly a 2-on-2 game. So
yeah,
that's why it's good for couples. All right. Yeah. Anyway, we only had a few games to talk about plus the All-Star game. So I really did want to do like a reset of the second half. But hey, maybe the Giants surprise us and they come back and win some ball games and they have a decent week. It has not started out very good, though.
No.
Did you want to do I know I skipped our player of the week last week, and you had some numbers for one of the players that you were going to give it to. Who was it? I don't even remember.
Yeah. Last week. Well, so it was the last show we did. So it was 2 weeks ago. But that player of the week was Willie Adames, and he's still on fire. I mean,
he's got 14 jacks now or something like that.
Yeah, he's got 15 because he hit one today. But he's So he had that week though that he had 2 home runs, 9 ribs, hit 414, slugging was 724. So he's really starting to come around. He's starting to be that guy. But again, we talked about that guy, but you can't have just one guy. You got to have him. You got to have Devers. You got to have Chapman. You got to have everybody hitting. You got to have good defense. You got to have things happening, good pitching. And that was what was preached in the offseason was good pitching, good defense. And if you can get that and you can get a couple guys hot, I mean, the team can go on a run, but it's kind of tough to see right now. But either way, Willie Adames, player of the week, a couple weeks ago. And next week we'll have player of the week again. And also next week we'll do our show on the 28th. We're only going to be a couple days away from the trade deadline. So something could happen between now and then, which is kind of exciting.
All right. That is it from here. We will be back next week. For Brad, I am Double G. See you when we see you. Peace out.
Peace.